Hey, how y'all doing? Today's episode, we're going to be talking about Storm King's Thunder. I just feel like you need to say the title that way. It is the latest adventure campaign book from Wizards of the Coast for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. I've liked that instead of introducing a lot of splat in every single one, what they've done is they've given you these campaigns that take your characters from level X to level Y. This one supposedly takes you from 1 to 10, although that's if you take the rapid escalator up and get to 5 pretty quickly. It gives you ideas for how to bring your characters in. So if you have pre-existing characters from other campaigns, how they can be imported in. My personal favorite with this, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that it bluntly says you can use the characters from the D&D starter set, which I ran through as a campaign recently, because where that adventure ends off is right where the next is, like 50 miles from where one of the starting points for this adventure can take place. So I thought that was clever that they say, well, you can bring characters in from here, from here, from here, from here, from here, or you can just make 5th level characters all on your own, or you can make 1st level characters and then just put them on this to 5th really quick and then slow down the advancement. The adventure here, I'm going to put right now spoiler alerts because we're going to keep talking about what the plot of this is going forward. The overall idea here is that the god of the giants has gotten honked off for some reason with the giants and feels like they need to have their reality shaken up a little bit. So he has broken this ancient rule that keeps giant society very organized and stratified based on what kind of giant you are and where you rank contained therein. Additionally to that, the king of the storm giants, who is at the top of that pyramid, has disappeared. So all hell is breaking loose. This is very squarely set in the Forgotten Realms, like most of their campaigns. This would be a harder one to pull out and put someplace else. I'll be very honest with you. Because so much of it is based on Realms geography and Realms lore. You would have to do a lot of work to insert it into your favorite campaign setting outside of that. So assuming you don't go through the first escalator to get your character to 5th level, this starts out, you have 3 choices on where to start the campaign. And depending on where the DM starts the campaign, that determines the type of giant that you're tussling with. For example, the adventure can start in Bryn Shander, which is a city in Icewind Dale, and while you're up there, some frost giants are up to no good. It could be set in Golden Fields, which is something I didn't know about. I don't know if it was made up for this book or not, but it's kind of cool. It is a combination massive temple and fortress to Shantea, the goddess of agriculture and life, where it's essentially a big curtain wall surrounding a big farmstead on the inside. There, you run into some hill giant problems. Now, skipping over to Tribor, which is very close to where the starter set left off. For example, you've got 5th level characters in the Tribor setting. There you have to be dealing with a mated pair of fire giants, 5 Origs, which are already a pretty tough candidate, 6 orcs mounted on freaking axe beak birds, and 12 magmans, which are sort of a critter introduced in here. That's a steep fight, especially when you realize your characters have to be spread out to be dealing with them so you can't focus fire on any one thing. Well, from there, you get additional side quests and clues, and it turns into a travelogue of the Savage Frontier, which is essentially the northern half of the Sword Coast. You can go to these different places, you can interact with things. Interestingly, it expands on some of the information given to you in the Sword Coast Adventures Guide. And then finally, it focuses you in on a bigger encounter based on your giant type. My impression, it wasn't really made clear to me in this, but my impression is you're probably going to follow the path to deal with the first type of giant you dealt with. Although you can also get involved with stone and cloud giants here as well. Because now that the order has been broken up and the king of the storm gods has disappeared, there's all sorts of power grabs going on. Like all of a sudden you've got an uppity hill giant lord who's decided he's going to be the mightiest of them all by eating everything in sight and becoming the biggest one there is. Hill giants aren't very bright, ladies and gentlemen. Going forward, you go through, and then it's an extended sort of dungeon crawl thing through each one of those types of giants that you deal with. For example, if you went with the tribal route, you end up with the Forge of the Fire Giants. From there, it leads you into the Maelstrom, which is the Storm Giants' hold. There you have to deal with a bunch of other giants of all the types, and the Storm Giants as well. From there, you find out that the king is missing, King Hecaton, and then you have to go find where he is on a boat, of all places, being absconded with by what looks very much like Cthulhu-worshipping pirates. I'm still working my brain around that one. And then once you rescue him, or not, he might die, you never know, but once you rescue him, what happens is you find out that the real villain behind everything is this ancient and kind of pissy blue dragon who's been orchestrating most of this for motives that aren't made entirely clear, other than, hey, I know everybody, let's do an adventure with giants and have it end up with a big dragon fight. Oh, okay, why not? So, depending on how the adventure goes, you could either be facing that ancient and pissy blue dragon on your own, or you could have several giants along for the ride to help you out with this. Now, wrapping this up, is this a campaign worth getting? Well, the obvious and kind of snarky answer to that is, if you like giants, absolutely. I never thought giants were the most interesting opponent in D&D, because when I think of giant, I think of Jack and the Beanstalk, like, not here's a human, here's a giant. Maybe because I'm really tall myself, but it is a good adventure. It's one of the first that focuses on giants that's not part of the ancient GDQ series, and it's definitely not a redo of the GDQ. That was what I was a little concerned of when I was reading this. So this is definitely all new material. Honestly, I like it. It has its flaws, but I think almost every pre-made campaign has some flaws. You very definitely can almost see the train tracks under the snow, but, you know, I'm not a big fan of open sandbox worlds anyway, because I have no idea what in the I'm supposed to do there. So going on from this, Storm King's Thunder, I think it's in the upper half of the campaigns they've produced. I think it's fun, and it gives you a lot of background information on giants, including the giant rune alphabet, which I had never seen before, which may be completely made up for this, but I kind of like it. One of the other things that's nice is at the very beginning of the campaign, it gives you this huge list of NPCs, what their roles are, their motives, and where in the heck you can find them in the book. It's fun if you're looking for another campaign to take your players through in Dungeons & Dragons. If any of you have actually played through all of these so far, it has to be with different characters, but if you played through all of these so far, please let me know, make comments in the section below, and for the love of God, like us, because I'm kind of needy, and I'm just curious to see how they all play out. Some of them I think work better than others. I think the oft-reviled Tyranny of Dragons, I think, is one of my favorites, simply because it's very political. Everyone's like, oh, it's too railroady, and you got to go do this and this and this. Yeah, but you got to negotiate pacts and treaties with a lot of different and grumpy folk. Storm King's Thunder. It's worth a read if you're looking for a giant-themed Dungeons & Dragons game. Have fun gaming, everybody.